Which player is most likely to become a manager from each of the top 6 Premier League clubs? Certain players simply possess it. That inborn capacity to establish standards. The eloquent oratory ability to deliver an uplifting speech. Perhaps by the time they get to a tense press conference exchange, they've already acquired all the world weariness required to compare a bothersome journalist to a flightless bird. Sometimes it's obvious when a player seems destined to become a manager after hanging up their boots. In this video, we examine which player from each top 6 Premier League team is most likely to move from the field to the sidelines once their own race is completed. Arsenal. For the very simple reason that he could deliver the standard post-match interview dodge of "I didn't see it" without a hint of bullshit, Ben White is a tempting choice. Really, the big man wouldn't have been looking. However, you probably need to be a football nut, and Arsenal already has 3 players working on their badges. Granit Xhaka, Rob Holding, and Mohamed Elneny. Midfielders are typically the most intelligent players, but as suave as Xhaka might appear in a suit, his temperament is a small cause for concern. Martin Odegaard, the captain, makes sense because of this. He is Arteta's brain on the field, he controls play as if he were watching from above, and he can also rouse his team when necessary. Since his debut at the age of 13, when he was heralded as a player of the highest caliber, before discovering the pressures of Real Madrid and supporting Arsenal's rebirth. In addition to his football acumen, Odegaard has a wide range of experiences. Chelsea. Currently, one of Chelsea's issues is a dearth of charismatic leaders and individuals who possess the necessary traits to serve as head coaches. Thiago Silva and Cesar Azpilicueta are 2 examples of veterans who come to mind as they near the end of their professional careers. Kepa Arrizabalaga, the goalkeeper, is one to watch as he matures, though that is a more arbitrary choice. Few players at Stamford Bridge have had to perform under as much pressure and scrutiny as he has. In addition to being the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, he also made a number of errors that led to his dismissal after he refused to be replaced in the Carabao Cup final. Kepa has risen to once again take the number 1 spot for Chelsea. It takes fortitude to overcome everything. The international from Spain is fluent in English. In today's management environment, being multilingual is a crucial skill. And prior to Chelsea's home game against Real Madrid, he appeared to be quite at ease in front of a critical press room. Additionally, it stood out how Kepa pulled players aside to give instructions and tactical advice during a recent break-in play in the Brighton match. Only being 28, he still has time to decide what he wants to do after his professional career, but Kepa is someone to watch. Liverpool. Ignore the monsters of mentality. Visualize a professional squad managed by James Milner. He would assemble a group of CrossFit champions who start their days with lactate tests for breakfast. They would be pressing titans with hearts as large as Liverpool and calves that would make Jack Grealish envious. Fines for small shin pads. Mandatory Spanish instruction. Ben Foster's spinning lessons. Running off trail alongside the Brownlee brothers. Everyone owns a National Trust membership in addition to a LinkedIn premium account. Those who enjoy decaf Yorkshire tea. For special occasions, use Ribena. Each player must have played at least 3 different positions by the end of the season. If not, your contract automatically renews. The sole issue is when. With more than 800 appearances under his belt, Milner is developing like Benjamin Button. In order to play 1,000 games, perhaps he becomes a player coach. Manchester City. You could argue that Manchester City is most likely to produce the next great managerial talent given that Pep Guardiola's protégés currently hold the top spots in the Premier League, the Championship, and La Liga. Ilkay Gundogan is probably the squad member who will end up in the dugout. Not least of all due to the fact that Gundogan is a dedicated football manager player and is the face of the advertising campaign for the current season's release of the well-known video game. After admitting that he spent a significant portion of his spare time last season leading West Bromwich Albion to promotion. Nevertheless, Gundogan also aspires to management in the real world. Or, at the very least, he's keeping his options open for when he hangs up his boots. At the start of the previous campaign, the 32-year-old started working toward his coaching credentials with the German FA. As part of his studies, he participates in sessions with City's under-16s. He will begin his A license course the following season after finishing his UEFA B license. Gundogan has the potential, according to Guardiola. Playing for him and Jurgen Klopp makes you one of the select few in football worldwide. Additionally to Hansi Flick, Joachim Low, and Thomas Tuchel. Gundogan has gained knowledge from the top coaches of this generation. In the following one, he might be someone to keep an eye on. Manchester United. After watching United's season opening 4-0 loss to Brentford, Casemiro texted his agent, "Tell them I'll fix this." This season, when available, the 31-year-old has made significant progress in filling in the gaps in Erik ten Hag's squad, and appears to be in a good position to move into management. On the jobs evaluation portion, the Brazilian has an advantage already. After his own games, watching scouting and analysis reports on Wyscout. He also understands statistics, analyzing his performances and identifying areas for improvement. A team led by Casemiro could learn from Tite, Carlo Ancelotti, and Zinedine Zidane. There would be a ton of anecdotes about what it takes to triumph in high-stress situations and how to handle challenging Champions League matches. They could avoid getting sent off because they would be experts in the dark arts. At the very least, until they visit England. If you have a struggling mid-table team that needs to learn the value of grit and grind, or if you want to be slyly proficient at long-range shooting, read on. Can you get some loan deals from the fictitious clubs also managed by Toni Kroos and Luka Modric? Are you willing to overlook some weakness playing out of the press in the first phase? Phone Casemiro. He's gonna fix this. Tottenham Hotspur. Pierre has a great mind. He's a master at reading the game. One day, he wants to be a coach. He's a pain because he constantly inquires about the rationale behind our actions. That was José Mourinho, the manager of Tottenham Hotspur at the time, talking about Pierre-Emile Højbjerg. Højbjerg is a manager in waiting, as many people at the club felt and still feel. He has always stood close to his head coach, generating ideas and asking lots of questions. He has even mastered the skill of providing succinct post-match interviews answers. Højbjerg would likely demand complete dedication from his players while berating officials from the sidelines given his approach to the game. I'm looking forward to reading a lengthy article generated by ChatGPT about how the Højbjerg Spurs era devolved into toxicity in the year 2040.